So in the third picture, playing marble. So what are the mechanics and what are the elements? Mechanics. Let's talk about mechanics. Throwing the marble, right? And throwing. Yes, hitting. Yeah, maybe throwing and maybe throwing. Action is the throwing, right? So what are the elements?
Players.
They should hit. First of all, they should define which part is the, let's say, the important part. I don't know how do you call in your language. And if they concentration. If they should concentrate, and if they hit the marble very close to the, let's say, the important part, that the first part they decided, they get the rest. Or if they hit the first one, they get all. And this is the element, right?
Yes.
So, is there a time duration? Time limit? No. And no time limit. And is there anything else? No, I think. For the blind man's buff. This one, blind man's buff. So, yeah. To find children, yes,
And recognize.
yeah, they should recognize. They touch maybe. And
Without speaking,
without speaking, right? No.
We have forgotten these games.
Yeah, I realized. So, actually, the element is just walking slowly without, let's say, you shouldn't harm to yourself and the others, maybe. Mechanics, sorry. And the elements, you should touch or touch somebody and say her or his name. It changes country, you should recognize. So, gamification is integrating gaming elements in a non-game context, actually. So in the gamification, when we say gamification, it can be very, let's say, complex and sophisticated. But if you use game elements, what are the game elements? Time, duration in a way, right? Maybe if there is a leaderboard, or maybe the points, I don't know. Maybe in some games you can give points, right?
Yes.
If you play. But here we didn't list it, but in Turkey there is a very famous one. Name, city. Objects, and you say the letter, and you collect points. If you say the same things, you get. So you get the points. So in a game you can get the points. So and also time is set. And also you should finish it. The rules in a way.
Yes.
So using game elements in a non-game context, actually without game mechanics. In the gamification, mostly we don't use them game mechanics. We don't make them jump, run, etc. But use the elements. That's why I just showed that simple things to you. So when I say game elements, it's very, let's say, confusing. But now I think it's okay. So game elements, you should use game elements, time, players, number of the players, and the rules, etc. Everything, and in a non-game context, without game mechanics actually. So if you use game mechanics, it can be a split game or another thing. So, you know, we made a, let's say, virtual activity. I think some of them attended this virtual activity, right? On the, let's say, Google Meet. And gamification and game-based learning. And now we have something in our mind that what is gamification and what is game elements. So now there is a new term, game-based learning. What's the difference? Do you know? I said it actually.
Yes.
You know, you attended. And there may be new ones. I will just summarize it and we will go. And gamification and game-based learning. They are very close, right?
Yes.
So you can be very confused. In the gamification, actually, you use game elements. Point system, leaderboards, badges, other elements related in learning activities in order to increase engagement and motivation. That's it. Game-based learning, you use games to teach students certain skills or a specific outcome. The game should give students clear and challenging objectives, jeopardy, cause, etc. So, did you understand the difference? No. Really? Yes? For me, no.
No, it's not simple. Huh?
Yeah, actually, but clearly, in brief, gamification is turning process into a game, the whole process. But game-based learning is using a game in a part of learning. Actually, you are using your traditional methods. Maybe you are using your climate change or mathematics or maybe primary school subjects. You tell them, maybe, orally, but at the end, you just use a game. So it is game-based learning, not gamification.
Okay.
Not gamification, you should plan all the lesson just like a game.
Okay.
From the beginning, from the end. It must be like a game, but students shouldn't feel that they are not playing a game. Students should think that they are playing a game, but they are not be aware of they are learning something. Actually, that's the difference. So when I worked on these areas, I was very confused. So I thought that they are more or less the same. And the difference is you will learn Kahoot and quiz or something else. If you use it in some part of your traditional teaching, it's game-based learning. And if you plan your all lesson like a game, for example, and give tasks and complete them, take it, and then in the second task you will be at it. And if you plan it and put the game elements, for example, let's say points, let's say how can we say time, maybe badges, maybe let's say rewards or something else.
Maybe chocolates sometimes.
Maybe chocolates sometimes.
Yes, Arbor took some chocolates. And where did you took these chocolates? To the students, he said, because they want and are waiting for the chocolates.
And more or less they're using the same terminology for game-based learning and gamification. So in the game-based learning, using games to meet learning outcomes, using games for your lessons. Learning comes from playing the game and applying game mechanics to the non-game environment. Can be achieved using education-oriented games. And usually add badges, awards, and achievements. So in game-based learning, you don't have to give them badges or something else. They just have fun. They maybe winning the first one or getting something as a reward is just enough. But in the gamification, you should plan like a digital game. You know, in a digital game, you have ranks. Maybe you are in the first. Maybe you are in the villager in the first. Think about a strategy game. At that, you will be a person living in the city. You will be a person living in a big city. Then you will be a rich person. There are social ranks. So you should use ranks, badges, awards in the gamification. But in game, you just use it to have fun or to teach or to practice or to consolidate something. That's it. That's the difference.
We do game-based learning.
Yeah, mostly we our let's say situation is appropriate for the game-based learning because gamification, planning a gamified lesson, that's creating, let's say, like a small curriculum actually, like a small lesson. Yeah, in our daily life we have to teach something, so we cannot gamify everything, right? But it's difficult. But it's more, let's say, practical to use game-based learning actually. And game-based learning, as we said, they increase engagement, motivation, and they let's say develop critical thinking, and they collaboration, social skills, more or less the same things actually. And there is a small difference between each other. And interdisciplinary learning encourages creativity and some kind of things. And gamification you know, first of all, in the gamification, you should give students tasks. They should have at least 3 or 4 tasks to complete. I will mention about it. And at the end of each task, they should have a reward or have a right to pass the other task. And in the, let's say, in the first, not related to this one, but I just wonder your ideas. You have to group them, your students, according to their abilities, and I will talk about them. So, how will you, and each team must be a captain. So, how will you define your captains? If you start a gamified lesson, and if you need to choose, let's say, you will divide 4 groups and 4 captains. So, how will you choose your captains to your teams?
They can choose the captain, the students, by voting, for example.
By voting, but
Who is the best?
By character.
by character,
Yes.
yes. But if you choose, let's say, the good students, so let's say the less achievers, demotivated,
They can decide.
they can decide between each other. I think it can be hard, really.
Usually, they who wants to be involved, they are more excited and you can recognize.
Mhm.
I can write, I can do it, I can be.
Yes, but I'm a teacher, as you know, but sometimes it can be hard.
Yes,
If you choose
sometimes, yeah.
somebody as the other students are demotivated and they don't want to play.
Yes.
Yes.
And the most probable way to choose your captains or the leaders, team leaders, is giving them the first task an easy task. And if, let's say, if you want to choose 4 team captains, you can say that the first 4 finishers will be the captains. So they are not motivated. So they will accept they are achieved and they got it. They have their answer. And another option, you can play and you can play again. Such kind of things. And if you say that I choose a captain and you are good and I choose your a team leader, so you include this student to the gamified lesson, but the others they're motivated and they don't want to play. Because every student thinks that they are the best. They want to be leaders. Yes, some students accept easily, I agree. But some of them they don't accept. So you should find a logical way to accept them their leadership. They should tell that he is or she is the leader because he achieved something. Otherwise, if you say that, oh, I choose you, and you can choose between you, they choose this one, for example, Branca for this time, and for the next time, Branca again say, I want to be again the leader. Again, they may say, especially for the primary school students, they can be very hard. But maybe your high school is better, but
No, we have sometimes problems they don't want to be.
they don't want to.
That's why you have to choose who will be for this time. Or maybe when there are many, we need to test them individually. Maybe with a game, individual game, and who is the best or who is more talented for this area, they can be.
Or we can sort out.
Because if
Of course, randomly you can sort out. You should find a way that can be acceptable for your students.
yeah, because
That's
if it is to find a leader in a group, it's very difficult. You don't know who answers. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. Even standing in the desks can be hard and can be a problem in Turkey. In primary schools, let's say every week they change their desks. For example, the student says that he is always sitting in the front and I'm at the back. So every week they change in Turkey. I don't know what's the situation in your countries. But in the high schools, that's not the case, I think. But in primary schools especially, it can be a problem. So you should include them, otherwise you may not then play a game. That's it. That's the reason why should you find a rational way to choose your team leaders. So they are just classical things, enhanced motivation, promote social interaction and personal learning, etc. And if you want a game-based learning environment, you can use games in your lessons, content, process, or product phases. So, when we think about a lesson, there is an introduction, you know, and also the, let's say, development part in the middle, and also the ending part. It changes lesson to lesson. In mathematics, maybe you can just introduce something, and in the development part, you just make them solve problems. And in the product part, I mean in the ending part, you can just give them new problems, or maybe more authentic problems, and then you want to solve them. So in game-based, if you are using game-based, you can use game-based methods in one of them, not all of them. For example, let's say in the introduction, you just to, let's say, increase the motivation or to, as a warm-up, you can use just in the content introduction part or in the content or process part. I mean in the middle of the lesson. But generally we prefer, as a teacher for me, I use at the end part. Because after using games, sometimes, let's say, making the students disciplined again can be a little bit hard. And so using them as an evaluation or consultation is the better choice for, especially for the crowded classes. And gamification, although games are fun-based, they include under the positive and negative feelings. Yes, when we were happy, we feel happy and also nervous. So, yeah, actually in gamification there are different kind of feelings. There are losers and winners as well. And also we are impatient for the next level, but at the same time we are curious about our reward at the end of the level we finished. Therefore, a famous expert, Yuka Chu, I think, designed a framework saying that gamification is not only increase badges points, but also increase 8 feelings. So, look at these 8 feelings. So, you should make them feel as much as feeling you can. You know, in a game, we feel different kind of feelings. So they should feel different kind of things. Only they shouldn't be happy, or only they shouldn't be happy, or they shouldn't be, let's say, how can we say, curious. We should address different kind of feelings, that's it says. And epic meaning, this stands for being part of. So they should feel that they are part of the team. That's it. It's a terminology, but it's let's say in short it says, and they should feel that they are learning new skills, and also they during the game you should give them feedback. I'm talking about the gamification, by the way. You should then give feedback. Okay, you should do it. You should do it or shouldn't do it. Okay, you should change for perspective to let's say to shift them to the result. You should give clues or hints. So they should feel that they are having feedback. So they should own the game. So how do they own a game? So they can all create their avatars, for example. They can create their characters. For example, you can say that each team find a character for your team. So they own the team and own the game. So if you are making a digital something, you can make them create an avatar. And also impatience. This feeling is also used, gamification, this feeling is also used in the modern world. You know, it says that limited to X stock numbers. When we just go to the shopping center, it says, right? And 20% sale, first 10 people. Last 3 rooms for the hotels, right? It is the gamification trick, actually. And also you should create tricks to make them impatient. And then early finishers must have a bonus, or they have time to help the others. Sometimes it can be, and it can make them feel negative things as well. Because, but the main reason, the researcher says that in a gamified lesson, you should plan your lesson that if, for example, one of the group finished, the other finished, but the third group couldn't finish. So you shouldn't leave them out. You should think about other solutions. Maybe the others help them and get an extra bonus point, or you should give them, let's say, a clue and get them 1 point for each clue, for example. So they shouldn't leave from the game. You shouldn't leave any group from the behind, they say. And also they should be curious. And you know, there will be gift wheels or surprising gifts, especially in the word wall there are gifts wheels. And also they should feel that they can lose something. And if they lose, they can lose the game, so they are motivated. I mean, bad things can be motivated as well. So if you cannot finish this task, you cannot shift to another level. So in a gamified lesson, game-based is okay. You can just use the game-based, let's say, digital platforms, and you can create. In a gamified one, you should think about the elements, and you should think about the feelings as well. And you should think that, you should imagine that you are playing this game, and what happens if such kind of thing happens, students can do this. You should have A, B, C plans for each kind of, let's say, classroom environments. That's it. So, how we design the game process? And we talked about it. Especially, they are classical things for teachers, I mean. But the first thing, define your, as I said, it is used also for the gamification, is used for also, especially business as well. Define your business objectives, or let's say we are talking about the education objectives. What are our objectives? So define target behaviors and what are the players expected to do, and so and define your players, and who will be the players of the gamified system, who will be using gamified, and how can be players engaged into the game. I mean, think about games, but we are sure that our players are students, and you should think about the students' characters. That's it, especially, and the device activity loops. So there may be some, let's say, cuts, or let's say problems in between the tasks. So how will the system give feedback to the players? Maybe you can make a feedback envelope, or maybe a hint envelope somewhere. If the students are tackled with something, some problem, they can go this part and they take a hint, or they can help, or you should create it. And so how will you motivate them? And don't forget the fun, especially, and use the elements. For today, I think it's enough. We will go on just, at the end, we will create a gamified lesson for our climate lessons. And we talk about, if we just to summarize, we talk about what is a game. What's the difference between play a game? What are the game elements? And you should use these game elements in your lessons. I mean, not mechanics. Of course, you can use mechanics. If you can use that, your students are bodily kinesthetic, you can add some. But if you put too much mechanics, the classroom is, it can be hard to discipline.
Yes.
So, and also, we talk about the elements, and we talk about game-based learning, gamification, and in the gamification, you plan the whole lesson like a game, from the beginning to the end, and maybe you create a story. I will talk about it tomorrow. And in the game-based, you don't have to. You just put in a part of the lesson. That's content, let's say in the middle, or the product phase, or let's say, how do you call it? It changes branch to branch. For example, in English, it's warm-up, let's say the development part.
Energizing.
Yeah, yes. And we talk about the feelings. So students should feel that they can lose something, they can gain something. They should own the, let's say, their team. If they create something and they can find an avatar or slogan or a name for their groups, or and also there are negative feelings, losing and etc. And also, let's say, game design. When you are designing a game, it's classical that you should define your targets and then you define the rules. If there is a time rule, if there is a leaderboard, if there is a point system, or etc. And then put some, let's say, fun parts inside and practice. That's it. For today, thank you. I see that you are very tired, and maybe let's say I'm not sure, but maybe you are hungry.
Are you going to send us this presentation?
So I can send.
Yes, so that we can.
I can send. No problem. This is the ezan. The Muslims, it's calling Muslims to the mosque.
7 in the morning.
Yeah, 7 in the morning. Yeah, 7 in the morning. Now, do you want to go to your rooms and leave your...
Yes.
So, you have to be ready 1:30 for the lunch. In the lobby or in front of the hotel. In the front of the hotel. You can just turn off the computers.
Thank you.